All right, Coach, a huge 4-0 win this weekend at home, dominating performance. What really stood out to you about this Rambells team in a coaching perspective?
Probably the number of goals. I mean, just get 4 goals. Anytime you play against a team that you can score 4 goals against, you're doing some things right offensively. I think we finished with 25 shots, 15 of those on goal. A lot of times if we finish, last year if we finished the game with 15 shots on goal, I would expect, 3-4 goals. This year for us to have 15 shots on goal, not just 15 shots, is pretty impressive. And then having said that, then I go back to my first comment about with 15 I would have expected 3, so I'm a little bit disappointed we hit the goalkeeper 3 or 4 times in the chest on breakaways that we should have done better with. But we have a lot of young players on our team, and we're going to have some moments like that. So good for us to get a win while still sort of getting some experience for our younger players and our less experienced players in different spots on the field.
Stats show a lot of the players that made the big playmaking plays, but maybe who were some of the girls that stepped up that we might not see on that stat sheet?
There are probably a couple. I think that going back to Thursday night when we tied against Central Oklahoma, I didn't think that our center back pairing had a great performance. And so I thought that, we gave them another chance on Saturday, kind of anticipating who the opponent was and feeling we're at home. And, so we showed a little bit of loyalty to give them an opportunity. Plus, we're not quite as deep in center back positions right now. So I'm happy to see them step up on Saturday and perform well and perform with more passion in being successful in their battles that they're in. So that part was really good. Really, I think a strong day from Abby James. Comes in, gets a goal, a couple assists, I think. She had a good weekend, so it was really nice for her to step up and after getting very limited minutes last year, it's nice to see when those players are rewarded with their work and their performance.
Y'all are heading over to Colorado to take on the Colorado School of Mines. What are some things about that team that you have to prepare your team for?
They're a team that's constantly competing for that regional championship, and so it's going to be a really strong test for us to play them. They play a ton of games at home, and they play on artificial turf, so that already is kind of against us because, soccer is not supposed to be played on that. So, but I think that team is just always so organized defensively. They're so dynamic going forward that they're a handful for anybody. For a team that is constantly one of the best in the regions, they would be in a battle against that team. And so for us to go in with less experience and have some hopes of what we want to have happen, we're going to need to get everything right to come out of there with a win or 2 wins there in Colorado.
That piggybacks to my next question. The next 4 games are in Colorado. What are some things that this team will need to focus on so they don't let these road games get to them?
Well, it depends on, if you're talking about get to them, if they're talking about losing them, then yeah, that's a bad thing. But we're going to hope that we can win those games. I think that obviously one of the things that people think about is the altitude, but we're coming in late on Wednesday, so that shouldn't affect us the first day that much. And the other part is we're taking everybody. So we have plenty of substitutes. It's just about when you get in, do your job for as long as you can and just be present in that moment. Don't think about, how many minutes I'm getting over the weekend or, I could have done this or I could have done that. Just do your job, whatever that is in the games, and hopefully we do enough to come away with results there. They're really important for regional rankings, and so it'll be a big test for us as a young team.
And then my last question, you've seen the girls in game action twice now. What are some things that from those 2 games that you're taking into practice this week to really execute moving into these road games?
We have to be more combative in how we play. We haven't given up 3 goals, not counting postseason play, but we haven't given up 3 goals in the regular season since 2019. So obviously there's some issues there. Whether that's in defense, whether that's in our goalkeeping, whether that's in midfield, whatever it is, we need to get better and do a better job defensively. We can't keep letting in 3 goals a game and think that we have a chance to win games.
Yeah, you had that. You came back and tied that first game against Central Oklahoma. Do you feel like that momentum from that tie and coming back in that game kind of pushed you into the next game?
Yeah, that was a huge one for us. I joke around sort of about the stopping the clock and using the horn and all that kind of stuff because in that game we score with 6 seconds left. If the referee doesn't manage the time, he puts his arms up. If we don't stop that clock there, we never get that chance. And so, yeah, it's a huge momentum boost for us to finish the way that it was. It felt like a win, even though it wasn't. To come back from 2-0 down and then 3-1 down, it was a really good mentality for us to have. So, really excited about that. But, you know, at the same time, again, we're at home, we give up 3 goals. A couple of them are just sloppy, you know, and just not defending very well. But I thought that gave us some hope for what we can do, how we can fight back. We definitely have a lot of really good attacking players. And again, if we can ever get some people healthy and have some options, you know, that should help solidify our performance. But yes, to answer your question, winning that or tying that game in the way that it happened, like I said, it feels like a win even though it isn't, just because of the circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a couple times here now, you haven't given up 3 goals in home since 2019. Was kind of just giving up that many goals in your first game sort of just, you know, first game kind of not being conditioned, or do you kind of think, you know, like you said, you didn't attack the ball well? Is it kind of just a combination of all those things, or is there like one thing in particular that stood out to you?
I thought that we were really focused in the first 12 to 15 minutes, and then after that time, we started to back off a little bit. We took our performance in the first 12 minutes for granted, and so when forwards received the ball, they were turning so much more and facing up and playing balls in behind, where if we're a little bit tighter defensively, then they don't turn. And if they can't turn, then they have to play negative. And if they play negative, then that plays into our hands, which is we want to press. So there's a couple of things, some are in the midfield and some are in the back. And like I said, some of those things are experienced things. But I think the biggest part would be is the aggressive mentality of my defenders, that they need to be more passionate about preventing the opponent from turning and facing, or turning and running at us, or turning and serve behind us. So if we get that better, we should expect better performances, because I know that we have a team that can score some goals. So right now, that's not the big question. The big question is, defensively, will we get the job done the way it needs to be done?
Yeah, when you're kind of playing that press style, obviously that uses a lot of stamina, and it's really, you know, difficult on the athletes, but obviously has a lot of teams kind of run that style of offense. And do you think that'll kind of maybe hurt you a little bit going into Colorado, since obviously you mentioned the altitude?
I don't think so. I think it'll affect our substitution pattern, but I think that it makes it really not that much different for us, because typically when a player struggles with altitude, that comes around the 60th minute to 75th minute, somewhere in there. And because we're ready and our substitution patterns have been that we'll sub during those times, I don't think that we have those players get into that situation. So I think that we'll be fine there. We're also playing at night, which will help us again, because the temperature will be cooler. I'm sure the girls will not know what to do themselves to be playing in 70 degrees compared to 95, 100 degrees. So I think that we'll be fine in that aspect. I really do. I don't think it'll have that big of an impact.